Subhadra Maharani ki jai. We seek the mercy of our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Reading from chapter 13 entitled Nature, Enjoyer and Consciousness. Today we are reading sloka number 25. Dhyanenatmani pashyanti Dhyanenatmani pashyanti Kechidatmanamatmana Kechidatmanamatmana Anye Sankhena Yogena Anye Sankhena Yogena Karma Yogena Chapare Karma Yogena Chapare. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Some perceive the Supersoul within themselves through meditation, others through cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive desires. Hare Krishna. So here we start first with a question. And what is the question? Let us see carefully. So the question is there any other means of attaining liberation other than what was described in the previous verses of this chapter? Is there or could there be any other means of attaining liberation? And Lord Krishna is answering that question. What does the Lord say? There are three ways, as we just saw in the translation. And what are these three ways? The first one is through meditation, or basically through Ashtanga Yoga. Okay? The second means is through knowledge, or through Jnana Yoga. And the third is through fruitive actions without expecting any results. Or basically, in Sanskrit, Nishkama Karma Yogi. Okay, so the Lord says here that there are three ways, three types, or three ways to attain liberation. All right. Now, let us step back. And if we see broadly, there are two categories of people that Srila Prabhupada describes in the purport. Okay. There are the atheists, agnostics, and the skeptics. Srila Prabhupada uses these terms. And he says that they cannot understand the Lord. So it is important for us to realize this, that those with an atheistic mindset will never be able to understand the Lord, because they are only seeing things as they perceive through imperfect senses. But there is another class of people who are faithful, who are working without desiring any results, who are introspective, who are curious to know about the Lord, then they will be able to understand the Lord. Okay? If we really want to understand the Lord, what is the best means of understanding Him? The Lord also says, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvataha. So, how can someone understand me? The best way to understand me is through Bhakti Yoga. That is the primary means of understanding the Lord. Of course, there are other processes which are also valid. Other processes have their own ways which are more time consuming. Okay, so now we saw here that some, the Ashtanga yogis, or some who try to understand through knowledge, we saw, right? Through Ashtanga yoga, through meditation, I should say number one is through meditation, number two is through knowledge, and number three is through working without fruitive desires. Okay, so these are the three ways which were described. These three are longer ways. Okay, we can see that those who try to understand by knowledge, for example, we have seen previously in this chapter that there are how many elements? Can someone say how many elements are there? You can just type it in the chat or unmute and say how many elements have we learned about? 24. Yes, Kalyani Mataji star. Thank you very much. 24 elements. We have seen that there are 24 elements. But the Sankhya philosophers, after prolonged, very, very prolonged acquiring of knowledge, what do they start finding? They start finding that there is a 25th element, which is the soul. Okay, we are the soul, right? The 25th element is the soul. And then, through even prolonged acquiring of knowledge, they found out that there is a 26th element. What is the 26th element? The super soul or the Paramatma within our body. Okay, but this is through very prolonged study. They come to the level of understanding Paramatma. But as we all know, Paramatma is not the ultimate understanding. It's not the highest understanding of the Lord. Understanding the Lord simply as this neutral super soul within our heart. No, there is something beyond that. We should understand the Lord as Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And how do we do this? We can do this through Bhakti Yoga, through devotional service. Through devotional service, within a very short time, we can jump all these steps of Ashtanga Yoga, of Sankhya or knowledge, and we can come to the step of Bhakti Yoga or being very close to the Lord. Okay, so that is very important. Through Bhakti Yoga, we can ascend or we can skip all the steps and understand the Lord very, very easily. Now, there is another question. What if a person cannot do these three things which were described in this shloka? Okay, what if they cannot do meditation, which is not easy to do? What if they cannot extensively gain knowledge and try to understand the 25th and 26th element? Or what if they are not able to perform work in a detached manner? What is to become of them? How can they understand the Lord? That we will see in the next sloka, which we will describe tomorrow. Okay, so we look forward to that. Tomorrow you will be hearing from Sri Ramachandra Prabhu. So let us now conclude today's Bhagavad Gita shloka